people. I'm going to go ahead and show you about week 5's assignment. So I'm going to share my screen here, go back to my Northwest College window. There, okay. This is what it looks like on Moodle. We're going to go ahead and jump into week 5. You can download these two files here. This PDF is just the instructions, and this text file is actually the survey data that we're going to import into Civil 3D. Basically, those are just survey points that we're going to create an alignment with. So in the field, you would get this from your surveyors. It could be a text file. It could also be in an Excel format. It depends on how your coworkers set it up. Anyways, you're going to want to download those guys and put it on your H drive. And I always just put it in a folder called week whatever we're in. So you can put it in week 5. And then you will always have access to it at Northwest. And so, yep. We're going to start off with Civil 3D. And like always, we're going to start a new drawing with our template that we made a few weeks ago. So you can hit File, New, and go ahead and select your template. So you can navigate back to your H drive. The personalized template we made, that should have your name on the layout tabs already. Oops. All right, Fall 2020. John Doe template. This one should have your name on it, not John Doe or not Logan Moore. Alrighty. All right. So go to your model tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to import those points. So what we can do is go to Insert, Survey Data. Import survey data right here is the button we're looking for. Okay. This database, we don't really need to worry about it for our example here. So go ahead on this guy, just type week 5. If you were working with a firm, you would have to reference into a database that is set up for the project you're working on. So for this project, we're just going to call it week 5 since that's what we're working on. So week 5, and then hit next in this window. All right, so this is different kinds of formats and files that you can import into AutoCAD to create your survey points. So what we're going to do is leave it as a point book file. Or wait, no. Field book file, okay. So we're gonna try to reference to this guy. Yeah, just kidding. Don't use field book file, use point file. And this land XML would be like if your surveyor gives it to you in a Excel format. So we're going to change the source type to point file and then hit this plus button to browse. So we'll go back to your H drive. And week 5, this is our text document. So go ahead and hit open. And this little check mark thing means that we're good and it should work. These are different formats that you can import. So it all really depends on how your surveyor wrote everything down and imported it into that text file. The one that we're going to use in my class for pretty much all the assignments is this one, PNEZD, comma, delimited. All right, it's like the second to the bottom on this list. Basically, if you choose one of these that isn't that one, When you import your points, all of your locations are going to be all wacko. Because this P refers to the point number, the N refers to your y-axis, the northing, E refers to your x-axis, the easting, the Z refers to the z-axis, the elevation, and the D refers to the description of that point. All right. So all these other ones refer to other things, or they're in different orders. So if your text file is set up to be like this, it'll import it using that data in the correct format. Yeah, so if you click on a different one, it'll assume that the first number is something else that it shouldn't be, and things won't work out. So that's pretty important to select the right one, PNEZD. And you can just hit next on this window here. All right. All of these things you don't really need to worry about, but we do need to worry about right here, this box here that says insert survey points. You want to check that box to say yes, because that's pretty much the whole point of what we're doing right now, to insert survey points. So hit finish. And then you will see that all these little points showed up. If they look really small, what we can do is you can change our annotation scale right here. And they should grow in size. So, yep. All right. So this yellow number up here is our point number. This guy is our elevation, and this is our description. All right. And the X and Y are defined by where they are. All righty. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically play connect the dots here. Start at number 1 and connect the dots up to 12. All right. And if I remember correctly, I believe this guy is the center of a radius. So I think the RP stands for radius point. And this PC stands for point of curvature, and this PT stands for point of tangency. So basically, this is the center of your circle, of your arc, I should say. This is where it starts, and this is where it ends, where it turns back into a line. And this NCL is like the end of the line. So it should end there, start here, okay? So you can just go ahead and trace. Actually, before we do anything, what we want to do is make sure that all these points are on the right layer, all right? So select one of your points, go to your home tab, and it's on the current layer, which is 0. We want to change these to be on the layer called vNode, because that's how all these layers are set up in Civil 3D using this template. So we want to make sure all of our survey data is on vNode, all right? So what we can do is we can select one of these points, right click, and now you can use this tool that is called Select Similar. It's a really helpful tool, not just for this class, but anything in AutoCAD. Select Similar, and it'll go ahead and highlight all the points for you. So if you have other things in here, you don't want to just circle that, because then you might select other things that you don't want to change the layer, right? So if you use that Select Similar tool, it's really helpful because it already filters out items that aren't similar, right? So once you have all those selected, you can go down to your vNode layer and then change the layer to vNode. Okay. And if you notice, these colors didn't change because those colors are associated with the survey point style. We'll go into that more in detail on a future date, but for now, don't worry about it if it doesn't change color. Just know that it should be on the vNode layer. Alrighty. So what we're going to do now is play connect the dots, starting at number 1. So I'm just going to use Polyline. And a helpful O snap that you can turn on is the node snap right here. So that one's nice to use for this. And it should just snap right to your points there. Alrighty. like this. I'm just going to skip here because I know that we're going to convert that line into an arc. All right, so don't worry about connecting to number 8. We're going to go to 7 and then straight up to 9, skipping number 8, going to 10, 11, and 12. And in my Civil 3D class, we will learn how to import and create lines just by using the survey data. But for now, we don't really need to worry about that. So basically, this point number 8 is the center of our circle or our radius. So I'm going to just draw a circle like this and snap to 7, or you could snap to 6. Or another thing you could do is select your polyline, hover over this center grip, and then hit convert to arc. And then you just want to select, I know, over here. Oop. And maybe turn off my snap because it doesn't like it. Like that. And just delete your circle here, or you could use the trim command and do it that way. Whatever works. So basically that would be our line. All right. I'm going to double check that I'm going on the right path according to my instructions. Okay. All right, import the points. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is that I would like you guys to fill out this page here and turn it in. Basically, this just defines different surveying terms. So CA is center of arc, D derivative curve, PC point of curve, PT point of tangent. That's kind of what I was talking about in that drawing, right? One of those things said PT and one said PC. That referred to right here where the curve starts and where the curve ends and needs back up, right? So those are just general surveying terms where depending on where you're going to be working, they may use different definitions, but this is a pretty generalized definition of all these little symbols, all right? So you can use the book or you can use internet to find out which one's which. I basically just want you to write down these little letters in these boxes, okay? Alrighty. So, yep, we already did all these steps. So basically the next thing we're going to do is we're going to convert our polyline into an alignment. All right. You guys probably don't know what alignment is, but it's basically a Civil 3D tool used to map out a path. All right. So if you're going to have a water line or a road or a ditch or anything in construction wise that would go long distance linearly, you would map it out using an alignment, okay? So you could, import your Google Earth images, kind of how we did last week, and then trace a road or use somebody else's drawing and then, use their existing lines. You can create new lines based off of that old information, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You already have everything to scale. You can just kind of draw on top of what already exists, all right? So these survey points are things that already existed because the surveyor obviously went out there and got those points from somewhere. And so we're just importing them into the drawing to plan for the future, what we're going to do with them. And that's basically what we do as, in civil engineering as a drafting guy. Alrighty, so I'll go back to here. So if you go to this home tab, we can go to this alignment tool. You go to the drop down arrow. And then we can click on this create alignment from objects option, okay? So just select on that guy and then now we can select our polyline, right? And then hit enter. And you can see this little arrow thing right here. So it says press enter to accept alignment direction, all right? Well, we know that it's supposed to end here because the description says end on point number 12. So we want the arrow to go the other way, all right? So you can hit R, or you can just select this little reverse option here, all right? And you notice that the arrow changed directions because we told it to go reverse. And we can change the name right here to Road CL because our surveyor told us that this is the center line of the road, all right? So we want to leave this type as center line, okay? And this is an important thing to do also, is when you have an alignment, basically it will add labels starting from here and ending there, defining certain distances along that line, okay? And one thing that we always want to do is start with 10 plus a pair, alrighty? That's so that if you ever need to add something else going the opposite direction, you have another 100 feet, no, 1,000 feet to work with going the other way, okay? So basically, like this is just a term that, you know, and civil engineers would use, or surveyors would use to define 1,000 feet, all right? So 1000 is 1,000. So these last two is just, you know, the last two terms. So if you had, let's say on this, you know, road, you had an intersection at 10 plus 50, that would be like, I don't know, somewhere along this line, you'd have an intersection going the other way, right? So that's just how you can define different things along your line. So if we start at 10 plus a pair, we still have some room. If we need to add some things back here, it would just be like 90 plus a pair if it was farther this way, or 90 plus 72 or something. All right. And we can uncheck this box. You can leave everything the same and just hit OK. All right. So it appears that our style may need to be changed a little bit. Alrighty. They added a bunch of labels in here. So what you can do to change that is you can select this guy, select one of your labels, go to alignment properties. Let me see exactly what style I want you to set it to. Gotta go back. Okay. So basically we want the label set to be set to basic, and we're going to modify the values here. So instead of 100, every 150, 100 major stations and 50 as the minor stations, we're going to change the labels to be 1,000 and 500. So there's a lot less labels, a lot less congestion in our labels, all right? So go in here and then hit Edit Current Selection. Okay, where was it? Alignment label set. Oh. All right, I lied to you. Yes, okay. So when you select this guy, go to, instead of alignment properties, you can go to edit alignment labels right here, all right? Now we can change this increment to 1,000 and this increment to 500 and hit apply. And now you'll see that there's a lot less labelage going on, all right? So basically your alignment starts at 1,000 feet or 10 plus a pair. And this is at 2,000 feet linearly from that point. And it'll actually label where all these turns are. So basically this turn starts 294.26 feet from the beginning. Alrighty. So what we want to do is set up our layout tab. to show our alignment, alrighty, and set that to a scale that works with our engineer scale. So it's got to be 1 through 6. You can't use a 70 scale or an 80 scale. So because that won't work with our engineer scale, all right? So let's try 200. Nope, I'm gonna go a little bigger. 500, maybe a little smaller. And so since we don't have a 300 or 400, we can go to custom and hit add. And we want this guy to be, let's try 300, all right? And then we can give it the name 1 to 300. Okay. And now we should be able to select our one we just created. And that one still doesn't quite fit. So all right, let's try a 400. Beautiful. All right, go ahead and lock the viewport. And if you notice that, you know, these labels are kind of ugly because they're intersecting each other, what you can do is select one of the labels, right click, and you should be able to flip the labels. Here, let me actually go to model space for this. So select the label. What the heck? Oh, okay, wait, it's up here. I guess you don't right click, you have to go up to this menu and hit flip label. All right. Maybe that was a previous version of the software where you could just right click, but that's what you can do to flip the labels to the other side so it's not so congested. Flip label. Flip label. All right. Now let's go back here. All righty. So yeah, none of our labels are intersecting. Obviously our point descriptions, they are showing up. In the field, you would probably never want to actually really show your points unless you're trying to, you know, give this back to the surveyor or something like that. So what we're going to do is we can go in here to our label manager or layer manager, go down to the vNode layer, which is the layer that all of our point descriptions are on, all right? And you can, this third, so this is to turn on a layer, this is to freeze or thaw a layer, and this third column here is to viewport freeze a layer, all right? So you can go ahead and do that, and you'll notice that obviously they disappeared here, but if I go to model space, they are still there, all right? So that's a helpful tool because you can make them disappear on your print, but in model space, they are still there if you still want to use them as a reference. Because if you freeze them here, they'll be freezing everywhere, frozen everywhere. If you just viewport freeze them, they just turn invisible in this viewport. The viewport filters it out, basically. So go ahead and add your north arrow to the viewport. Make it bigger. Alrighty. And then maybe bigger than that. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Move it down a little. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not that. Alrighty. Add your scale bar. So we're at 1 inch equals 400 scale, correct? So go to scale bar. Click on any of these guys. Select your viewport. 400 feet. Okay. Like that. One thing I may have not mentioned clearly is that here you want to actually change these contents in your title block to reflect the scale, okay? So go ahead and double click on your title block here. Change this scale to say the scale you're using, which is 400 feet. And you can change the project name also. You can change this guy to say week 5 instead of final, all right? And you probably want that W capitalized if you want it to look nice. You ready? And I believe that's all I have you guys do for this assignment. So you just have to print that guy off, or you can print it to a PDF and email it to me. And then turn in this sheet here with all the little curve descriptions. All right, so turn that guy into me. And yep, let's see. North arrow. Okay. I guess I have you zoom in on different sections of the alignment. All right. So you can leave that first sheet the same. So what we can do is just hit move or copy, create a copy. So we're going to create a copy of this layout tab. All right. So set this guy to 200 scale. And we're just going to do the beginning part of the alignment here. Lock that viewport. Delete this scale, add our updated one. $200 feet. Like that. Alrighty. And then we can make a copy of this layout tab because it's to the right scale now. And put it here. And we can just pan over in this viewport, all right? Like that. So your engineer or whoever you're giving this plan to would see the overview map, all right? The zoomed in part here in the beginning and the zoomed in part at the end. It's always important to have a little bit of overlap so you don't have any gaps in information here. So you can see how I'm showing the bottom of this flat area in the beginning of the curve. And I'm repeating that same information here. So you don't have any missing gaps in your line. Alrighty. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it. If you have any issues, let me know. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Alrighty, thanks.